E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, today is April 1st, and it's our last week wrapping up Skills for Teens. And today is learning to cook and your budget. That is so important.
Oh, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, because Donna and I, we're so glad that you tuned in, and we just want to, say thank you so much for making this show so successful and popular. And yes, those teens, they definitely need to learn how to cook, and not just eat post toasties in a bowl.
Right. Right.
But it's amazing because I never, even though I had a mother and three sisters, I never really learned to cook. I guess I learned or learned how to, if I could say it like that, by just watching them.
Right.
And they didn't give me lessons or anything like that. I don't think they thought that I was, quick enough between the ears to catch up on all that cooking with all that grease and sizzle and all that. But
it isn't that hard. And I'll tell you something that I want to share with everyone out there that my mother told me. Now, I started learning to cook at 5 years old. So, and obviously it's carried on throughout my life. I love to cook, love to bake. But my mother said, everybody should learn to cook. You spend a third of your life eating, and you better learn how to do it. Even if it's not gourmet, do it well enough that you can, have a good balanced meal 3 times a day and save money.
Did you say a third of your life eating?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll be right back. I've got to get Yeah, it's really there you go. And learning how to cook is so important, because when kids leave the nest and they get out there on their own, they've got to understand that all these eating out, regardless of where it is, it adds up, and it's very, very, very expensive, and it keeps them enslaved into poverty and keeps them asking, mom and dad to help them out. And it doesn't allow them to be able to have the integrity to stand on their own feet.
Well, and let's talk about really quick the health factor. Okay. Fast food restaurants, they're great for a quick once in a while, or a little, man, I'm just too tired. I've come off a 14-hour shift and I'm just too dang tired to fix something at home. But here's a fact, that fast food restaurants are known to have huge increase in salt, huge increase in fat, and huge increase in sugar. And all 3 of those become addictive to our body. And so we crave that. And obviously with those 3 things involved, that is extremely unhealthy for you to make a consistent meal on fast food restaurants.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Donna. Speaking of being healthy and all that, like I tell people, your body is a processing center. It is not a recycling center.
Right.
You can't put junk in and think your body, because I made that mistake, believe it or not, back many years ago when I was in my 40s. I thought, hey, I can eat whatever I want. I take these herbs and vitamins and and I got the best of both worlds. And it just did not dawn on me. And this is what happens when you serve yourself so many times. You get into a rut and you can't even see the sides. Much let you can see the sky, but not the sides.
Right.
I just thought, hey, I'm getting vitamins, I'm getting nutrients, I'm good to go, and I can eat and do what I want to. You can when you're younger. You get up past 55 and the slack starts coming out of the chain, and pretty soon, ouch, that hurts.
Well, it's even really younger than that, Jim. It really, our body really starts to shift in our 30s.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
And, 9 years ago, case in point, 9 years ago, and I grew up, first of all, I grew up where, you have your meals and you've got, you've got your meat and you've got your starch, you got your salad, you got your vegetables, boom, all on the table. And so I grew up cooking that way. And 9 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago, I had taken my children to Niagara Falls and we took a bunch of pictures. And about 6-7 months later, I looked at the camera and there's a picture of me that my youngest took. And I'm on the bridge. And all I could recognize was my hair because I had 3 chins. I was huge. And I was in a size 16, splitting seams, getting ready to hit a size 18. And I went, holy cow. I didn't know I had gained so much weight. And so then that started my journey on to lose the weight and keep it off. Now, it was not a diet, but what I did do was cut out things that didn't serve me. I cut out bread. For the most part, I would have a little cheat day, and that was on Sunday. It took me 2 years. And in 2 years, I lost about 100 pounds.
Wow.
And I've kept it off. I right now, I'm 57 years old, and I fluctuate between a size 2 and a size 5, depending on the brand.
Yeah, that's amazing because what you said there is very important because number one, you realized you didn't get in that condition as far as being heavier than you wanted to be overnight, and you're not going to get out of it overnight. And this is where a lot of people fall into trouble. They want to lose that weight in just a very short time, few weeks at the most, okay? Maybe at the end of the week you lost 10 pounds or something. But you did not allow your body to adjust to the new weight because your body has a tendency to think like a child. Oh my gosh, I'm starving to death.
It goes into feast and famine mode.
It does. And so as soon as you go down a little bit and you eat a little bit,
right. And
then
then
store this.
Exactly. And then what happens is because now we've shifted the way we're eating healthier. We're eating, we're conscious about what we're putting in our mouth and how it's cooked. So what also happens is that your metabolism changes. And that metabolism, you have to give your metabolism time to adjust. And here's what I do know. I am just biologically predestined to be a heavy person if I was not careful in what I eat. So with that in mind, I understand that to keep me in that fat burning mode, I usually eat probably 6 times a day.
Little meals each time. Yeah.
Little snackies. It might be carrots. It might be jicama sticks. It might be a banana. It might be, but I don't eat per se a breakfast or a lunch. I usually have dinner with my husband, of course, but I have small meals all throughout the day. And that keeps you in a fat burning mode so that your body doesn't go, oh my gosh, I'm never going to eat again. Store it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing that I'd like to point out along that line there, Donna, for years, I let the clock tell me when it was time to eat.
Right. Not your body.
That's right. So eat as you get older, eat when you are hungry, and then do it very, everybody tell you, and it's pretty much common knowledge. We've heard it so much that smaller meals several times a day is better than one big, huge meal.
Right. And the other thing is in understanding this, that your body, if you lose too much weight too quick and you think, woo, success, I've done it. And then you fall back into eating how you used to eat. not only will the weight that you've lost come back as kind of an average, but it will come back with a vengeance.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And you might say, well, today's lesson or program is going to be on learning to cook for teenagers and all that. What does this have to do with teens? How many fat teens do we have in this country?
Right. Unfortunately, we have a crisis in the United States of childhood obesity. And actually,
yes,
Jim, we will be, it looks like we're probably going to be doing a show here in the near future on childhood obesity.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because it's very, very important because they don't realize, I mean, let's face it, we were, in our teens and all that, we were bulletproof. We were going to live for, forever,
Yep. 12 foot tall, bulletproof, could take an alligator by the tail and whip his rear.
There you go. And and then use his skin for boots.
Right.
But I remember, and I tell the joke, true story. I mean, we didn't really say this, but this was our attitude in 1967 with my graduating class at Shelby High School there in Shelby, North Carolina. Nobody really said this, but we kind of had the attitude, we're going to go out, we're going to set the world on fire. I look back now and I'm thinking, thank you, sweet Jesus, we didn't.
Right.
But it's really important for us to remember that our teens do not realize the long-term effects of poor eating. And, Donna, that leads me into something I like to share. Every day and every month, there's always things that, we should be aware of. And one of the things, if I'd like to share this, if I may, one of the things that, and this is very important, I just heard a bird hit the window over there. My goodness gracious, International Fun at Work Day. This is important for you to have fun at work.
Yes.
And because it releases stress, it makes it a lot more productive. It was started or celebrated back in 1996 by a company called Playfair, Playfair. And their owners was running a business to bring fun in academic and induction ceremonies. And they started with their employees and, did a proof at home kind of a deal. But that's very important. And today is that day. But we want to get into something more serious here. Testicular Cancer Awareness Week.
That's a big one. That's affected my life personally.
Yes.
My ex-husband had testicular cancer.
Yeah. And I've seen it in our family too. And this is how we become aware because I forget who said this off the top of my head. You may know, Donna, but let your food be your medicine. But that is the starting point of good health is good nutrition.
It is.
And work with your doctor on that.
Right.
Because like I said earlier, I was taking herbs and vitamins and all of that, but I was eating junk food.
Right.
My body it's not a recycling center. It can only process what I give it.
Right.
And so, the same is true here. You cannot, eat junk food and then have a doctor write you a prescription to correct your bad habits. The world doesn't turn that way. And here is one that's near and dear and special to our hearts. This month, ladies and gentlemen, is the prevention of cruelty to animals. Oh.
Yes. And, I am really proud that in the United States, we are finally passing the laws and have been for some time, that it is a felony to be cruel to animals.
Yeah, because they're defenseless, they're helpless. But really what I want to see done in this country is to tell my cat I'm not her servant. Jeez.
Good luck with that, Jim.
She comes and gets me. I mean, but I tell you right now, I wouldn't have her any other way because her personality and all, just the way she is. I mean, she just brings joy and jubilee. And saying that about animals, well, I've said this many times, imagine what a wonderful world this world would be if everyone had the loving heart of a dog that the dog demonstrates to the family. What if we had that for everybody?
That would be beautiful. And speaking of dogs, I'm just going to say today is my puppy's 12th birthday.
Wow. Jake's birthday, huh?
Yeah. He's 12 years old today.
Good. I tell you right now, you take good care of him, and that also falls around good nutrition.
Oh, and
Donna,
my cats. Yeah.
oh yeah. That's why Bullet is such a cat buster. But no, sincerely, there are a lot of people out there who wonder because I know how that feels. I've had a dog suffer from cancer. I've had
Mm-hmm.
a dog suffer from health issues. I had a
Oh, yeah.
dog that had a defective heart.
Yep.
That broke my heart when he
I've
died.
had
But
cats with all of those and AIDS. I
yes,
had a cat that had AIDS.
really, wow.
Yeah. Feline AIDS. Hmm.
Okay. But share with the audience how you feed Jake, what you feed him, how you feed him, and all that for him to enjoy 12. And because he's active,
Yeah.
and he's a big dog too.
He's a Great Pyrenees. I feed him Victors. And the reason I feed him Victors is I didn't always feed him Victors. When I moved back to Arizona, I went to a local feed and tack store here in town. And these people are so knowledgeable. So she talked with me in extensive detail about the nutrition in the dogs and cats, etc. And so anything in the store, they would feed their pets. And so they're, I mean, the most knowledgeable people I've ever met in my life. So we talked about it and I chose Victor's. And Victor's has been around, first of all, they're made here in the USA, and I believe it's out of Texas. But they have been in business, I want to say off the top of my head, don't quote me on this, since like 1956 or something like that. They've never, ever, ever had a recall on their food. Ever. So his food it's expensive. It's about $48 a bag before tax. But because it's so nutritionally balanced, he's not eating like a horse, if you will, right? Because he doesn't need a ton, just like us. It's the same principle. So it's highly balanced. And so that bag of dog food, he eats more, in the course, in the fall and the winter than he does in the summer because it's so hot. But it'll last probably 2.5, 3 months. So when you break it down by the day, it's not that expensive. It is not that expensive. And so same with my cats. I feed them a brand off the top. I can't remember what it is, but it's like $40 a bag. And that's for 4 of them. And that lasts 2 weeks. But they're still kittens. So but again, it's nutritionally balanced. And when you feed your animals something that's really properly balanced, their breath won't stink. Their elimination is going to be better, and it's not going to be such a big mess. And so that's the truth. I also do give Jake a glucosamine chondroitin pill every day.
Right.
And he's had that for 5-6 years now.
That's really amazing because as big of it, he's what? Is he 100 pounds or?
He's not quite 100 pounds. And he's a little under. He's around 90, 85.
He's a big
90.
boy.
Yeah,
But
he's 4 feet long.
Yeah, you figure the $48 bag there for the dog food. How many pounds is that? Is that like 50 pounds or 30 pounds?
No, it's less than that. I think it's only about 15 pounds.
15 pounds, and that lasts Jake how long?
2 to sometimes 3 months, depending on the season.
Wow. And think about that, folks. My goodness gracious. And you got a healthy food for your dog. We're not endorsing their food or anything. We're just telling you the truth of our experience, and we don't get paid for them or anything. You think we ever sent them a bill for this or not? No, but we really, because we know how it feels when you lose a pet, and this is all
devastating.
It's all about healthy living. And let's get into this thing here about some teenagers. My goodness gracious. I want to start here. There's a website here called workweetlunch.com and how to food budget. It starts at how to budget your food. Same thing. But Donna, looking at this here, it's really amazing how when people start out, and especially young people and teenagers that don't know how to cook, they're going to pay premium price for junk food.
Right. And here's something else. When people buy, and I just want to put this out there since we're talking about health with this.
Okay.
When you buy, say, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to, be in trouble with them. But say you buy a box of something on the shelf that you add hamburger or chicken or tuna to. You need to read the contents in that, because I promise you, folks, that thing is so sky high in salt. Salt will, make you retain water. We don't need that much salt in our diet. You can make the same thing for a lot less. And we have this beautiful thing, folks. It's called Google. Man, you can find some recipes, but I guarantee you, your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, people in your family who know how to cook, some simple recipes. One of the things I highly suggest is when we talk about feeding on the cheap, do not buy the cheap hamburger.
Oh, no.
Right? Because, say you're getting one that's 73% beef and the rest is fat. So when you have a pound of hamburger, say it's about this big, by the time you're done cooking it up, it's about this big.
About half size.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't taste as good. I pay premium price. We buy like 95% lean. And, I have less grease. And the grease is different too, Jim. When you fry up that kind of hamburger versus like an 80 or 75, 73%, the grease color is different.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because it's so much leaner. So you'll get more for your money if you buy a high percentage of beef, less fat, than you will if you buy the cheaper one.
Yeah, that's why Clara Pillar, was that her name back in the 80s? She did a commercial for a fast food restaurant, and she was a little old lady said, "Where's the beef?"
Right.
Because they use such cheap hamburger, the hamburger would shrink up. And I know that for a fact. I've seen that, because you start out with a patty this big and the thing winds up after you cook it. You're like, what happened to that thing?
Right.
It's really something. But, teaching young people how to cook rather than, eating out, that's a huge savings, not only in money, but also setting the standard for their health. And Donna, I'm a big proponent, and I think you are too. In the morning, when I get up, I have 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and they got this brand in there. It's got honey. You can find it anywhere. White House puts out a good one. It's got honey in it, cinnamon, a few other things. But when you drink 3 tablespoons of that in a glass of water while you wait for your coffee to finish percolating or dripping, what it does, it helps you lose weight. It helps set the tone for your body for the day. It makes you feel good. And then you can enjoy your coffee. It's a win-win situation, because I don't think anyone has to be explained to what a wonderful benefit that apple cider vinegar is for the body. And if teenagers start on that in the morning, that is the best way for them to lose weight. As far as a good first step forward. It really is. It's good for the body and all that. It helps flush out a lot of toxins. It does a lot of good things for the heart. That's how I came up with it.
Right. And another thing is, when you drink cold water, that also helps your body to burn, because your body has to take that cold water and bring it down to the temperature. Same when you eat, like put in some hot sauce or something on your eggs in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Again, that makes your body burn that more. Burn the fat
Absolutely. More. Absolutely. That's a very good point, Donna. And when it comes to saving money and teaching kids how to cook, the main objective is for them to be able to eat healthy and save money. And they can do that without spending a lot of money, can't they, Donna?
They can. So, it's funny, because my oldest daughter, Gaia, when she moved out, had put a post out and said, I just moved out in my very first place, and I just went to the grocery store. And I just want to say, now I know what my mother meant by eat everything on your plate. It's not free.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But a balance, I mean, it just depends on what you like. But there's so many things, like you can buy a package of chicken and make that into 2 or 3 different casseroles.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you've got meals, like on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays. That's one of the things I do even now. I make several of our meals for the week on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then that
yeah.
way we just heat it up and we're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And when you make up several different dishes like that, you can rotate them. You don't have to eat the same thing over and over and over. Because I'm the kind of person, when we have leftovers, just put it in front of me. No problem. I don't care if I had it. This is my 4th meal on it. So what?
Yeah.
Because when I was in the Army in Vietnam, I know what it's like to A, be homeless, and B, be hungry. So, and I mean that sincerely. So when I have food in front of me, I give thanks for it,
Right.
I mean, because, I think about people in the world that are not as blessed as I am.
Right.
And it's important because also one of the other national holidays I want to mention, I think is very, 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 very important. And that is, let me find it here, ladies and gentlemen. That is, oh, come on now. This November 1st has got a lot of them, but I'm scrolling down here and I should have found it. April 1st, yeah.
April Fool's on you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm guilty as charged. But national, I had it up over here. I apologize for that.
Good help's hard to find, folks.
I know it. National Volunteer Month. That's what I'm trying to say.
There we go.
National Volunteer Month. That is so important in life because when you think about other people, teach your teenagers to understand the importance of working with a local food bank or any type of charity that's doing some good, because giving back, they will see firsthand that people other than, that's a lot less fortunate than they are. And they will appreciate what they do have. Right. And this sets the foundation for them as saying, okay, I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to save money, because I see people out there who are hungry and have no money or very little money. And that's a good training for teenagers because, they get them from where they came from. Well, can't you just write a check? Why can't we get it?
Right.
To grassroots reality, that's a huge step forward.
It is. It is. So, and going into this, they say that the average, Jim, is about, to spend a month per person is about $100 a month. So $25 a week.
Yeah.
$25 a week is a pretty good average, because if you go out and you buy half your groceries one month and half the next month, you can get your vegetables, your fresh fruits, your dairy and your meat product and your odds and ends. And that should be able to carry you over. One of the things I suggest, and I've always been this way, is, I've always, when I worked outside in the working world, I would make my lunch the night before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I seldom eat out. I mean, we do once in a while, but it's not very often. I mean,
it's a
honestly, honestly, I can say we probably eat out, maybe, that's include going and picking something up and bringing it home, maybe 15 times a year.
Yeah.
That's
I know
it.
what you mean. We're pretty much in the same category, because when I'm on the road, I like to take stuff with me, and including whatever snacks I want, because therefore I'm not dependent on what's available in a convenience store that may be out of date or whatever,
Well, and also you don't know when you're going to run into one.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Especially when I'm going from Texas out to Arizona across the desert there,
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of space in there. But, it's just, first of all, you got to understand when you're learning to cook, what it is you like, and start with that. Right. And have your, the older people who cook around you help you with that, because honestly, you got to eat every day for the rest of your life.
Yes, ma'am.
So you may as well learn to cook, passably well, and enjoy it. So that's really simple, like I made Swiss steak the other night and I bought 2 packages of cube steak and they were big. And we got, my husband had seconds, but we got 1, 2, 3 meals out of 4 pieces of cube steak. So that was, on the potatoes, we had mashed potatoes. So, really it came down to not very much. It came down to about $5 for each of us, for a really good meal.
Yeah, it's really a great thing like that because you can, the nice thing too about cooking your own food, you can tweak it and squeak it, as I like to say, to your taste buds. And that's important. And I love what you said there about getting the older, I'll say the more experienced person. If you're a teenager, a young person, learn how to cook, because in school they don't teach you home economics anymore, do they?
No. I think it was shortly after I went through junior high, they stopped doing that.
Wow. What a disservice, I think. But anyway, because you're talking about basic skills there in the kitchen. But, it's really amazing, Donna, because when it comes to cooking and having someone that's experienced, teach you and show you how they prepare dishes, because everybody has their own way of their own special recipe. For example, in my house, my mother made her own barbecue sauce. Okay. And the sauce was so good when she made barbecue chicken, and we go to these church functions and everybody knew it was Miss Grant's barbecue chicken. I mean, by the time you got there, and she made more, she just didn't make a chicken. She put out a lot. Right. And it was just amazing how when you got there, I saw this one guy pick up about 3 or 4 pieces and put on his plate. Come on, guy, but he knew what that barbecue chicken tastes like. So a few years ago, I got in touch with my family there, and I was thinking, I forgot to cut that big clock off I got over there, but that's okay. I'm a little dingy anyway. But anyway, I got in touch with my sisters. I says, how did Mother make the barbecue sauce that she made? Because it was so delicious. Everybody loved it. And I thought between the 3 of them, I could get all the ingredients. The problem was they kind of knew most of the ingredients, but Mother always made it to her own mental measurement.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, oh my goodness. It was kind of like an old saying there at the old church there when I was a boy growing up. Miss Grant, if you can't bring your chicken, be sure and send it.
Right. Well, and to me, that is, that's how I cook. I rarely go by a recipe. I might first time. Something that I haven't used when I'm cooking just food. Now, baking is different. That is almost a precise measurement, right? Because if you get off on your flour, your leveling agents, that can screw up the whole recipe.
Oh yeah.
But I've had so many of my friends say, "Well, Donna, how do you make this?" And I just kind of look at them. They're like, "Oh man, you don't use a recipe, do you?" I'm like, "Nope." Literally, probably 98% of the things I cook, there's no recipe for.
She uses the Braille system when it comes to the pinch of this and pinch of that.
Right. Little taste here, little taste there.
There you go. Yeah. Reminds me of that. Remember that you may have seen that old Justin, what was his last name? He was the cook from Louisiana. And he, a little bit of wine for the mixture, and a little wine for me, a little bit more wine for the mixture, a little bit more wine. What was it? Justin? I forget his last name, but he was hilarious. Justin Wilson. Yeah. He was a character. And that's the way most people, especially your moms and your grandmothers, that's mainly the way they cook. They just flavored it the way they wanted it to be flavored. And they had that, they knew when it was right. And
you just have that knack.
Yeah, that's a gift.
Yeah. When I make sauce, my lasagna or spaghetti sauce, I make 30 pounds at a time.
Yeah.
Because A, it's expensive. But B, I'm not going to make a pound or two. What I do is I make this 2 big, huge pots of sauce. It cooks all day. I cook it for between 6 and 8 hours. And then I make usually at least 2 big lasagnas. Then I make some small lasagnas for, just when we want a small dinner. And then I'll bag it up in 1 pound bags and freeze it. And then I use that in multiple different ways. Different ways.
It's really amazing as we think about this and look at this about things, how this is not only good advice for teenagers, this is good advice for people of all ages, including yours truly. And that's how to plan a meal that's not very expensive. And Donna, you've covered a lot of the good things there. Just being able to, how about drinking water before you eat?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's critical in it. That's very important. And the reason that's important, it fills up because a lot of times we confuse hunger with thirst.
Right.
And that's another reason why you gain weight. And soda pops does not quench your thirst. Or something,
soda will usually add a lot of weight to you.
Oh yeah. And they're showing here some pictures here of how to stretch how to stretch your budget and all that. And they talk about some of the favorite ways to stretch a meal and satisfy a hungry teen is using rice and pasta and beans, potatoes, and bread and eggs and sweet potatoes. Oh, when you talk about sweet potatoes, my, thank you, sweet Jesus, for making sweet potatoes.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really important, even though our teens are growing like a weed. I know my kids did, summer break would happen and they'd be, hanging out and doing whatever before they were old enough to get a job. And they'd get jeans on from 2.5 months ago. And they were like this much too short. And I'm good Lord, y'all, you grew. But it's really important to not just give our children carbs. Because carbs are converted to sugar, and it is, once it burns high, then you get hungry again. So it's really important to have a good quality of fiber, of protein, and really balance your table of nutrients. That is really super, super important.
It really is, Donna, because, whenever in the past when I ate a lot of, carbs and all it did was just make me crave more,
Yep.
And I tell the story of when I was recovering from hernia surgery. I couldn't go anywhere, and my wife took the keys to my truck to make sure I didn't go anywhere. And I was just laying around the house. I got bored. I live out in the country, about a mile down the road, or about a mile down the road, mile and a quarter, is the little station there, and it's little grocery store station. So I got the bright idea. I want to go down there and I want to get me a Snickers, and I want to get me a bottle of Gatorade. So the only thing I have is my farm tractor. So I go down there on the farm tractor and get it. And of course, I was glad to get back home from all that jarring on that farm tractor. And I figured, this is great. I mean, I enjoyed my candy bar, my Snickers. I drank my Gatorade. I put it all in the trash underneath some of the other trash there, and it's hidden. All the way I got home, got away scot-free. My wife gets home and says, "What'd you do today?" "Oh, not too much. I miss sitting here, yada, da, da, behaving myself." And little did I know, my neighbor, who can tell you anytime a sparrow lands in a tree in her front yard, saw me going up the road, coming back down the road. And she happened to be at the supermarket the same time my wife was there. And said, "Oh, how's Jim doing?" "Oh, he's doing fine." "Yeah, he must be doing good. I saw him on his tractor today." So, that's one of those times where you're going to wind up doing a little hard time in the hacienda. But at the time, it seemed like a brilliant idea.
Right.
But my point being is that eating carbs like that, even though it tastes good and we crave it and all that, it does not promote good health for teens or anybody else. and it makes you crave more. And, that's going to drive up the food bill, and it's not going to be able to be beneficial to your health in the long run.
Right. And we all need carbs, but it has to
Yeah.
be well-rounded. So one of the things that is important, if you really want to teach your children how to help budget and save food, have them go with you to the grocery store. This is what I recommend. And say, okay, we are going to buy enough food for 2 weeks. And so you sit at home and you kind of write out what we're going to have. Well, we're going to have some chicken. We're going to make this. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. Have them go with you and help them learn how to select the proper food. And then go with, and of course, you may be paying the bill, which is totally, of course, fine. But so that they can see how much it costs, or help them compare. Well, if we get this brand, which is the same exact ingredients as this brand, but it's $1 cheaper, which one will you want to use?
Yeah.
Right? That's called budgeting. And then when you get home, have them help you, teach them how to make something and then meal prep. So you can make it, put it away in some containers for next night's meal, or you can freeze them for a week or so, 2 weeks down the road.
Absolutely. And one of the recipes I'm looking here, this is really interesting, Donna. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. And this lady here is talking about, recipes that kids love, and hot dog sliders with mango and pineapple salsa. I mean, you see the chunks of pineapple in there and the mango and the salsa. My goodness gracious, that's got to be good, doesn't it?
Right. Well, and one of the things that, and if I've mentioned it before on a show, but when our children are learning to budget, they have to understand that when they eat out, that becomes part of their food budget.
Yes.
It is not separate. Entertainment is, once in a
going
while,
to the movies.
Going to the movies, going, maybe getting your hair done, or, that's just an expense. But your food budget is everything you put in your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
Period.
Yes, ma'am.
Period. So if you're budgeting for $100 a month and you're on your own and you spend another additional, say, $60, $70 a week on eating out, you got to add that into your food budget, because now your food budget just went sky high.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that here recently, and how someone figured, well, this is what my grocery bill is, but my eating out bill, that's not really my grocery bill, because I didn't go to the grocery, because they related that to being going to the grocery store. And that's a disconnect.
And that's what I told her, because she was just newly married and whatnot. And I said, sweetheart, whatever y'all put in your mouth becomes part of your grocery bill.
That's right. That's right. That's a good way of putting it too, Donna, because, let's face it, we can all relate back to when we were young and dumb, as I like to say. I'm just old and dumb now, but back when we were young and dumb, I mean, we just didn't connect the dots like we can years later with experience as we travel down the pathway of life, because, kids just don't realize how fast money goes and how expensive eating out is and how unhealthy it is. So that's where we as adults and other people who become involved and become a volunteer, or get someone to volunteer to put on a class. I'm a big fan of this. You hear me say it all the time. Get someone to volunteer to teach kids some of the basic things in life that we've covered over the last 2 weeks that they need to know.
Absolutely.
And goodness, it's because they'll listen to them before they listen to us as parents,
Right. But, the thing is understanding that when we stick to our budget for our teenagers, it has to resonate with them. Okay, these are going to be my fixed costs, right?
Right.
So my rent is X amount. My utilities are X amount, whether you have renter's insurance or what have you. Then you've got your car. Even if it's paid for, excuse me, even if it's paid for, you've got car insurance. You need to put a little money away for maintenance, tires, oil change, that kind of thing. And then you've got your food bill. And you need to pay your bills, obviously, first. And so, you need to be able to balance that in. And understanding that and the reasons why is critical, because we don't want our children to go out in the world and be upside down.
That's right. That's right. And also, too, to add to what you're saying there, Donna, also teach them the importance of paying themselves first.
Oh,
That is critical because of the fact they're reinforcing the fact that I am somebody, I am important. This has nothing to do with ego. It has everything to do with mindset of the value of money.
Yep. And I would, if it was me, I would recommend for our teens who would go out on their own. Of course, they have to be 18, but I would recommend whoever you have your, portfolio of investments with, or if you know someone, get with them and have them set up an account for your child and have them help them go through that. And even if they only start putting $25 a month away, they'll see what a huge difference that makes in a year's time.
They sure will.
It sets them up for their future because of the compound interest.
Yeah. And we share this all the time, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, because that's a great thing. You can get in a PDF file. If you're overseas somewhere where YouTube is not allowed, you can Google The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale and get in a PDF form, and it's verbatim, word for word, what it says on the video. But my point being is that is a great training tool for kids to understand how special they are. And that'll open up their minds. And that's what we need to do, because most teenagers, let's face it, they have a closed mind.
Right.
I mean, they know everything, so they don't need to let anything else in, right? I mean, that was the way we were as teenagers,
right?
I mean, duh, that was our attitude. That's just the way we thought.
Absolutely.
And that's the way all teenagers think. But to be able to open their minds to how special they are, and The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, this sets the foundation for them to accept knowledge. That's my point. And they need a boatload of knowledge, from finances to food to, behaving yourself. Struck out there too, a couple of times.
Well, in this 2-week series, honestly, folks, we did teen skills last week. We're finishing up this week. And the reason we did it is because, we realize that life is so busy, and that things that we, as the older generation in our golden years, had learned by osmosis, is not there anymore. Not saying that you're not doing it, but it's a different world today because we have technology in front of us, and our children are usually on those devices so much. We didn't have that growing up. And so this is just, a little, something that we wanted to do from our hearts to help if you've got an area where your teen could use a little more knowledge.
Yes, ma'am. And this also was fueled by the fact that Donna and I spoke on a summit, international summit overseas.
International Youth Summit.
Yeah, International Youth Summit. So my wife said, well, why they want you there for? To show them we can make it all the way down the pathway of life. But what really blew us away, especially me, is I'm sharing some nuts and bolts things with them about everyday life. And I was covering things in the world of speaking and things like that. The tremendous questions that we got that were so intelligent, kind of like,
oh my
wow,
gosh, it was off the chart.
These young people were starving for that, because Donna spoke on Sunday and I spoke on Monday. But I mean, the people there, they were sharing our radio, our TV show. They were just, they really thought that we really could walk on water. And all we've been around long enough to know where the rocks are.
Right. But it was amazing because they asked some of the most amazing questions.
Down to earth, grassroots, bang.
I spoke on energy, obviously. I'm big into that. If you watch our show, I'm big into energy and finding that balance. And one of the things that I always talk about in my high energy performance coaching is that love and hate or love and fear cannot coexist in the same space.
Not at all.
Right? One has to have more than the other. And we're all capable of having more love, but we have to learn how to find and release the fear or the triggers that are holding us back.
And Donna, you were talking in a language those kids, they kind of like, wow, where did this lady come from? They might have thought you were an angel from heaven as knowledgeable you are, because this is how anemic our youth are, even in America, about all factions of basics of living a good, wholesome life, from managing their money to eating well, everything in between. Managing their credit. Don't let people, sell you a pig in a poke and all those good things. Because, gosh, it's an epidemic going around the world. And we have a calling in life, and we accept that calling because Donna and I, we're all focused. This month is the month about, giving back.
Right.
And it's all about that, and it's so important to be a volunteer. And if I may, Donna, I'd like to say on April the 23rd of this month at 8 p.m. on Life Central, this is e360tv.com. Just go to the top, click on Life Central. Saturday, April the 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you will see Donna, you will see Mr. Marty Haggard, you will see myself and members representing the veterans of foreign wars there. And let me just humbly say that Mr. Aaron Hymas, president of E360 TV, has donated all of his technology for the network to reach all those channels around the world, Roku, Amazon Fire, the channels were on over 300 million sets. And Mr. Marty Haggard has donated his time. Donna and I are donating our time and our TV, because it'll be run off our TV show here. In other words, nobody's getting paid one thin dime. We're all about getting the message out for veterans, people who have served this country, people who need to know what's in it for them to become a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm a lifetime member of it. Donna, your father was also I don't know if he was a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, but he definitely qualified. Oh, yeah.
He goes back a ways.
Yeah. But see, it's so important because in the ability to work there and with them and being able to give back, we welcome that opportunity. And that is the mindset we should have around the world, especially with what some of the questions those youth asked us.
Right.
It was a wake-up call for me, and I'm
really
not exaggerating about that. I'm kind of like, wow.
Right.
I mean, the lights are on, and these kids are home, but they're looking for an answer. They're looking for truth.
I can't tell you what a privilege and an honor it was to be able to speak at Saudia's event for the International Youth Summit.
And we got invited back.
It blessed me in so many ways.
Yes. And the thing that really was the blessing is that the message that we delivered was all about what's in it for them.
Right.
And not for us, because we didn't do it for fame or fortune. We didn't get paid a penny for that, but that's okay. That's okay. We got invited back again. And I think the reason why we got invited back, they could afford me. No, but sincerely was the hunger, because the blessings that rolls out, and that is opening doors for us in the areas that's, financially attractive, you might say. But that was not our mission. Our mission is to be a servant when we're called upon.
Right.
That's critical in life. That's something that kids need to understand, the value of that. You want to be successful in life. You want to be happy in life. You want to be rich in life. Learn how to give.
Give back. Solomon's
life is proof of that, right? He could ask for anything, but all he asked for was an understanding mind and heart.
Right.
And the Bible says the good Lord said, hey, I don't want this stuff. You can have all this junk too. But it's just such a privilege to serve. And, Donna, for us to be associated with Marty Haggard and to be able to do this event for the veterans of foreign wars.
It touches us deeply.
Yeah. Yeah, because so many veterans out there don't even have a foggy clue of all the things the veterans, VFWs does for our veterans.
Right. And that's one of the things we want to bring to light.
Yes, yes. And and they don't have a patent on that. I'm just going to say this. It's kind of like the Lions Club. Every town that I know has a Lions Club, but you walk up and ask the average person on the street, does your city or your town, your community have a Lions Club? They
Right.
may say yes or no, or I don't know. That's going to be one of the three, but I'll tell you what, 99.9% will say, what does the Lions Club do?
Right.
I mean, what charities or what's their calling? What's their mission? What's their passion?
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's why we're doing this for the veterans. We're giving back. Donna's father was a retired colonel, veteran. How many years he served? Or how many centuries?
Just shy of 45 years.
Wow. Me and my son, I served 31 years, and my son is still on active duty. He's at 25 years, I think, now. And he's still carrying, he's continuing to march. He hasn't retired yet. So we have, me and him
Over
together.
100 years. Between all of us, we have over 100 years.
Yeah. And Donna said I look pretty good for the being that old.
Well, it's funny because my dad dropped out of high school and lied to get into the service. Right. And then I find out when I'm in my 30s. Now, my dad had his doctorate degree, was an incredibly intelligent man. Mm. And he dropped out of school, got his GED. I went, what? I said, you never told me that. And he laughed and he said, well, I'm not going to tell you all the secrets, girl.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful story. But it's so important. It sets the standard because being able to go back and visit and give to these young, mm-hmm. hungry souls around the world again, what a privilege. What an honor. My only prayer in that is that I deliver value to their life.
Right. I hope I touched one life, mm-hmm. one life when I was speaking,
yes,
then I feel blessed.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because my focus in on something like that is don't give them a hand out. Give them a hand up. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's critical because you want to be able to give them something they can bite into and go and grow. And that's true with our teens here in the United States. Helping them get their weight under control, helping them to manage their money, helping them to understand that they are to pay themselves first. That's what this last 2 weeks has been all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Jim, we are out of time, so we have to close our show. I know he pouts a lot.
You're no fun. It's really something. It really is. And yeah, you're right. It's time to go because I just got the flash over here. We're out of time.
Right?
I tell you, I can't even fudge anymore and get by.
I know it. I keep track of it.
I know it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. As Donna and I like to say every single time we close a show, we pray that you and your loved ones are blessed in all areas of your life. We hope and pray that you can share your blessings with others.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, be good to yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself. And for my buddies out there, my amigos, would you try and behave a little bit this weekend? I realize that's going to be a challenge for you. It's like pushing a chain uphill, but work on it, boy. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.